Hi, and welcome to the Journey to Awakening podcast. My name is Ron Ario, author of Journey to Awakening and the Quantum Performance Coach. And I have a very special guest with me today, Robby Besner. Robby is the Chief Science Officer, device developer, and co-founder of Therasage, premier infrared healing products, and he's recognized as a leader in integrated infrared technology. So, Robby, I'm just going to explain a little bit more about your background before we get started, okay? First of all, I really want to thank you for being here. We've had some history knowing each other, and I recognize you as a really special individual that's really dedicated to making a difference in the world. And with what's happening in the climate we're experiencing in the COVID-19 era right now, I thought it was really apropos to kind of highlight what you're doing to help people. So let me just kind of read off a little bit about your background so people understand who they're dealing with, okay? So Bobby graduated from Boston University in pre-med, engineering, psychology, and business. He continued on to postgraduate work at Case Western Medical School and holistic medicine. After many years of illness, his teenage daughter was diagnosed with Lyme disease. This began his mission to find alternative, holistic, and homeopathic avenues of treatment. He discovered the natural healing effects of infrared frequencies and began developing specialized devices and applications to help his daughter with her health challenge. When he saw the positive results, he felt compelled to share what he had discovered and formed Therasage, now recognized as a leader in integrated infrared technology. Therasage has built a reputation with the healthcare community and mainstream public by educating and creating special cutting-edge applications and protocols unique from the rest. A professor of the World Federation of Chinese Medicine Societies, annual contributor at the World Committee of Infrared, and a member of the Education Committee of the prestigious Hippocrates Health Institute. He's also a presenter at many medical, integrative, and anti-aging health conferences, as well as an invited contributor on many podcasts, online summits, on-air radio, and TV health shows around the world. He's a best-selling author and considered a leading scientist in the field of integrated infrared technology. Robby continues to research and develop new applications to bring the power of healing and nature to the world. So having said all that, Robby, we're in a particular climate right now. So why don't you just kind of share a little bit about your passion and how you kind of grew up in the medical community and just how you arrived here today.
Wow. First off, I wanted to just thank you for having me on your show and giving me an opportunity really to share some of my life experiences with your viewers and dial in a little bit more about the very unique time that we're in. And as much as I hate the reason why we're here, because a global crisis like we're experiencing with the coronavirus, COVID-19, certainly isn't a fun experience for it's touched every life on the globe. But, I'm kind of a forward thinker, Ron, and from my perspective, I always look for that silver lining. Mm-hmm. And there's a silver lining in this experience for all of us if you kind of look and dig down deep enough. And I'm hoping to share some of those insights with you and with the viewers today. So to talk about my journey to get here, like you mentioned, I have a science and a pre-med background. And even though I am not an MD, I am a naturopath and a homeopathic practitioner and a holistic healer. And our company is now a little bit over 20 years old. And the way we started was really just from that pain to passion thing. My wife and I were in a healthcare business that was related to consulting healthcare providers on how to set up their networks, reimbursement, compliance, regulatory type issues. And this was back in the early, late 80s. And then what happened was my daughter was experiencing illness, and we weren't quite sure what it was about. The practitioners decided finally and gave her a diagnosis that she had a challenge with something that's called endometriosis, which mostly affects women.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of figuring out what that was, how to take care of it, we discovered that her real underlying challenge was she had Lyme disease. But this was 22 years ago, and 22 years ago, Lyme was somewhat in its infancies in terms of understanding what it is, the different kinds of other diseases that it mimics,
Mm-hmm.
and more importantly, the direct approach or a protocol that could potentially help people that had that challenge. Now, moving forward, almost 20 plus years later, there still aren't set protocols for Lyme disease. And there are only, much more, but still just a small percentage of practitioners that are what's called Lyme literate. Mm-hmm. That being said, and many of the viewers, and you may agree with this, it's like you have this health challenge, whatever the challenge is, you go to your practitioner. If you're lucky, you find one that's really talented. You spend 1%, if that much, of time with that practitioner, him working with you, looking at you, tweaking your protocol, whatever it is. But 99.9% of the time, you're back in your home, either with yourself or with your family unit, and that dynamic managing your health challenge. And so when I kind of took a look at that dynamic, and I looked at our family dynamic, I decided to get very proactive in working with my daughter to try to figure out the best way that we could manage her health challenge as a family. Mm-hmm. And so I looked at the symptoms she had, and she was experiencing high toxicity and inflammation and cognitive challenges and all that. And then somehow I dialed in on the toxicity thing, and I looked at the current ways, or what was accepted as the best ways to detox. And then I discovered that there are actually frequencies of sun energy that will mobilize all the toxins in your body. And that was very exciting for me.
And is this that's at a cellular level, right?
Yeah, that's down to a cell level. But what I'm talking about is the infrared spectrum of sunlight energy.
Okay.
So again, 20 years ago, it wasn't really mainstream. In fact, infrared was just being used by medical practitioners, sports medicine practitioners, to help the players heal faster and lower their pain threshold. Mm-hmm. So diving into it a little bit deeper, I actually went to Asia. I spent almost 6 weeks. I visited more than 70 factories, and I aligned myself with one and started to develop very unique infrared technology applications just for our own personal use. My daughter, Julia, had some great results with it. The practitioners that she was working with said, "Oh my God, Robbie, this is amazing. Can you start making them for my practice so that I can distribute them to the patients that they were seeing, Lyme patients?" And that really was the genesis of our company. We didn't get a venture capitalist. We didn't have a big business plan. My wife and I still own our company. We're co-founders. I spend most of my time developing devices, working with the factories, and teaching practitioners basically how to integrate our full spectrum infrared devices into their practices to improve the effectiveness of their protocols. Beautiful. And so I don't believe it's enough just to make a great device, Ron. There are a lot of great technologies out there. But what I noticed was, and this just comes back from like being on stage at these medical conventions, the doctors go up and down the aisles, they see the vendors. Every vendor says, "My product and my device is the best in the world," right? The doctor buys into it. He understands how to make money, buy it low, sell it a little higher to the patient, all that. But they don't quite get the education as to how to use the device effectively to get an optimal result. Okay? So everybody gets cheated in that scenario. The doctor isn't fulfilled because he's spending time bringing the technology but not necessarily knowing how to use it. The patient is not getting fulfilled because they're spending the money, but they're not getting the optimal outcome. And so everybody's a little disappointed. And what's unique about what we do at my company is we just don't deliver a great device, we deliver an experience. And that involves me working diligently, either writing white papers, getting on stage, or doing one-to-one private teachings, webinars, podcasts, and so forth, similar to what we're doing today, just to raise awareness, teach the practitioner, and even down to the patient, how to use our devices to get the optimal result.
Well, let me ask you this, Robbie. Can you explain the technology of infrared and how it actually works in the body? You know what I mean? And yeah, please.
Okay, it's easy. The sun, nature, the higher power developed this relationship between the sun and our planet. Infrared is just one of the various frequencies that are delivered to the sun every day, from the sun to the earth every day. Infrared spectrum is responsible. Now there's three wavelengths, the near and the middle and the far wavelengths in the spectrum. And it's responsible for heating 82% of the planet. That's how powerful these frequencies are. In 1951 or 52, I think, Albert Einstein did a thesis where he analyzed the sun thermals, which is the energy from the sun, and how it affects the life on our planet. And came out with he came out with these broad statements. And one was, without infrared frequencies, there'd be no life on our planet as we know it. That's pretty powerful, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I have been a student and still am a student as much as I know, and I'm kind of on top of my game, humbly said. I'm still just trying to discover the essence of why the things that we do work as well as they do. But on a global sense, these frequencies, they harmonize, or they resonate at the same frequency as the water inside of our bodies. And so that's a very important notion, because the water inside of our bodies is responsible for at least 70% of the volume of our bodies. It's 81% of our brain. It's 98% of the cell. And so when infrared sunlight comes into the body and resonates with the water inside of us, it restructures that water. So each of these water molecules that's carrying, basically it's part of our blood, it's part of all the interstitial fluid in our body. And so it carries all the information, it carries the nutrition, it carries the food, it carries the healing properties. All of this stuff is all about water. And when the water is structured properly, then the cells communicate, they can methylate, which means they get nutrients and minerals in, and they also can get waste products out. What I just described to you was a healthy person. And when we have people that have systemic challenges, health challenges, some of those mechanisms are not working right. They're in bed, they're not getting sunlight, they're not active. So a lot of these same situations that I just described actually work in reverse. Without that sunlight naturally creating a healthy platform inside the body, cell doesn't operate right. And basically, you know the truth, Ron, we get sick on a cell level and we actually heal on a cell level. So anything we can do to keep that cell healthy now and then that starts to get pervasive, meaning systemically healthy. Then we're now talking about a vibrant person with good energy, great mitochondrial health that hopefully can, just like what you do in your own way, you educate people, you elevate their awareness to live out their dreams, follow their bliss, to understand their passion, tap into that resource, and just follow that I call it the love lane. Stay in that love lane as long as you can.
Okay, so if a normal person is getting enough sunlight, they're eating correctly, they can prosper from the natural sunlight and the infrared that's coming to humanity on a regular basis. But for a variety of reasons, systemically, they don't have that, so they get sick. So what the infrared technology is essentially doing is creating the optimal environment for them to be healthy. That's essentially.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point. First off, there's a relationship of the sun and the earth. And as the earth is turning, the azimuth, which is the angle of the sun to the earth, is hitting different, those sun rays are hitting different parts of the earth all through the day. And so even though infrared spectrum is part of sunlight, like in Florida, for instance, the infrared spectrum is only mostly present between the hours of 1 o'clock and 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. And so you can go out in the sunlight, you can go out for a walk at 9 a.m., but you're not getting infrared, or you're getting a very small amount of it. And you're not getting enough concentration of that infrared to actually create that physiological change that we're discussing today, this healing platform. And so what I did was I understood first the science and the physiology, the biology of how those frequencies affect our bodies. And then I figured out a way to harness those frequencies, all 3 wavelengths, to put them into devices that we can get in our home. And then we can kind of work it right into our living lifestyle, our busy lives. So you get the amount that you need every day to be healthy, but you're not kind of dodging your schedule. Wow, is it sunny outside? Is it, like rain or shine? These devices I make, and the one that's the most popular these days is this portable infrared sauna. Mm-hmm. It folds up and goes into a carrying case. It weighs about 30 pounds. It uses regular electricity. It looks kind of funny because your head is out, and there's a reason why, and I'll tell you that in a few minutes. But your head's out. It's kind of like, I don't know if you were an I Love Lucy fan when you grew up, but I was.
I was.
Maybe some of the
I was potty trained to I Love Lucy, just so you know.
Yeah, so it does look like something out of an I Love Lucy episode because your head's out, your body's in this soft case, and actually there's zippers so you can bring your hands out so you can read or type or talk to people on your cell phone or whatever. But it's a very unique format, and it's affordable. And it's portable, so you can take it from room to room, from house to house. I just spoke to a very famous bodybuilder earlier today, and he takes his portable sauna from his home gym to the main gym that he works out because they close the gym at 9 o'clock, and he's got his own key to go in at 10 o'clock. So in the evening, he gets to do a second training, and he said he doesn't leave home without his portable sauna because of the way that it enhances his body function. His workouts are optimized. And this is a guy that if he was a car, he'd be a Lamborghini or a Maserati.
I understand.
Yeah, go ahead.
I get it. I get it. Because when I first asked the question, if a person is out there, getting sunlight, eating well, et cetera, but here's the deal. As a species, we've kind of evolved from living in nature and enjoying all the benefits of our interdependence with nature, and health is a natural byproduct of just being in nature. But as we've grown in society and technology, and we have roofs over our houses, and we're really isolated from all the natural benefits of nature, we've really become a technological society, and we've really cordoned ourselves off from the natural benefit of existing in on Earth, for a lack of a better way of putting it. And and I just did a blog the other day, and I was trying to explain to people that we live in an intelligent, energetic biosphere. We are completely bathed in this energy, yet we don't give credence to what we don't see. And so our focus is always on external. It's never internal. And I likened it to that of a fish. How do you explain to a fish what water is? Okay. The fish is fully immersed in the water, does not even recognize the water, just exists within the water. But the water sustains its life. And as I try to get people to become more aware of their multidimensionality, of their soul, of how they exist in this biosphere, and how interconnected and interdependent we are, what you're doing with the infrared is you're creating an environment where people can really naturally live how we're supposed to, with all the benefits of sunlight, et cetera, you know?
Right. Wow. Boy, you hit so many nerves for me just now with the different things you just said. We don't touch the earth anymore. That's so important. There are 4 foundational pillars of my technology that I'd like to tell everybody about. One, we harness the full spectrum of infrared. So there are 3 wavelengths, near, middle, and far. And for some of the viewers out there that want to Google infrared saunas or infrared technology, there's going to be a big rage. The near people say, we're the greatest. The far people say, oh, we're the greatest, you know. And I just took a natural approach and figured there's the greatest playbook on the planet is the Bible and what nature gave us, okay? And so we don't have to go too far away from the lessons that are there if you pay attention to them. And I think that's what you said in not too many words a few minutes ago. But one of the things about, like, I'm a big fan, and one of the pillars that we, besides the full spectrum, we also remediate against electromagnetic fields. And so an EMF is a man-made frequency. We're now introducing 5G into our environment. There are many theorists that believe that the electromagnetic fields were one of the stressors that really dialed in this whole COVID-19 incident that we're going through now. Because those frequencies are not common. Our bodies and the world has not adjusted to it yet. And they're super powerful. And so these are exogenous. These are man-made. This isn't a natural energy like sunlight, or a natural thing like water or air, like you say, that we all take for granted, but without we wouldn't be able to live. These are just conveniences. They make our phones work better, or our gaming work faster, or whatever, right? But what about the effects of these frequencies on our bodies? And we've got blood studies that show that that they make us unhealthy. A lot of different ways that we've been testing that suggest that these energies are not our friends. Let's put it that way. Yet there's a lot of money behind it. The technology is, driving. The speed is driving it. The kids and the PR stuff that they're putting on TVs is driving the promotion of more of these networks and faster networks and so forth. So it's about sales. It's not about health. And then boom, 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 something like Corona comes in and we go, well, it's a virus, but where does this start from? Why is this virus that's been studied for more than 2 decades all of a sudden a global challenge for us? What changed? And so, not to get into all of the particulars, but some strong people that I really trust and are super smart are suggesting that maybe some of these 5G frequencies actually created a weakness in our own body's physiology that's allowing Corona now to become a lot more prominent in creating health challenges, global health challenges.
Making us more susceptible.
Right. So now, I wasn't that smart, but 15 years ago, I had a dream, and my dream was that if everything that plugs into a wall generates an electromagnetic field, or that is battery operated, and my devices that I make, which are FDA class 2 medical devices, so they're approved by FDA. That's one of the reasons that we're different than other people, because we went through all that pain, the exhausting amount of testing, as well as the amount of time. And now, of course, we're working with the FDA, and we don't have to go into that. That'll be another 2 more hours of podcast. So, but EMF was a big thing for me. And my dream basically said, well, if I plug my device in and it's generating a field, but yet my whole technology is harnessing sunlight, which is also an energy field, what's your body going to do, Ron? Is it going to defend itself against the harmful effects of EMF, or receive the beautiful, loving nature of sunlight? what's it going to do? And my first response was, it's going to protect you first, which means it's going to shut down part of you, so you're not going to get the full benefit of what I'm doing on the infrared side.
Absolutely.
So what I thought was, I don't really know, but if I take the EMF off the table, if I figure out a way to remediate, block, shield that electromagnetic field, then Ron his body doesn't have the conflict, and you can get the full benefit of the infrared technology we developed, and that's what I did. Now, fast forward, we're in 5G already, so we're way immersed in these exogenous frequencies. But one of the things that we are leaders, and we've gotten pretty notable about, was the fact that we were one of the first to remediate magnetic fields. Now, a lot of people are jumping on that highway, and I'm happy that they are, because they're not good for us, and we all can benefit from getting better technology to protect ourselves and our families. So our sauna has no EMF. It has full spectrum infrared. We also have natural gemstones like tourmaline stone and jade and rose granite and shungite, which is a meteorite stone that we get from Russia. So I travel all over the world farming and finding the best of all these different earth elements, because all of them generate frequencies. So when you're in our sauna, you're surrounded with a symphony of frequency, basically creating that healthy platform. And another thing you said earlier, it's like dialing us back and returning us to the way nature intended us to be. And that's a big mantra here at Therasage, my company.
Beautiful, beautiful. Regarding the science behind how let's just talk about the sauna for a second. So we take the sauna, we take all the crystals, we take everything that's in there. Explain the science of how the cell is rejuvenated, detoxified. Okay.
Sure. Okay. Well, there's a couple of main features there. I'm going to dive in a little bit, but I'll try to keep it so that it's like everybody can understand. All right. So there's basically two different kinds of saunas out there. There's like the hot rock sauna in the steam room, and that uses convection heat. That means you've got a heating element here. It heats the ambient air that between the element and your body. That air has to be heated at a very high temperature, like 185, 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Then it touches your skin, and then it has to work on getting through your skin to get inside to warm up your insides. All of us have an insulating layer of fat underneath our skin that protects our insides from extreme heat or extreme cold. I don't know about you. Have you ever been in a steam room before, Ron?
Yes.
Is it easy for you to breathe in a steam room?
Not particularly, no.
Okay, that's the answer that most people give us. And that's because it's 185 degrees, 200 degrees Fahrenheit. We're not designed to be in that kind of temperature for very long. Now, the other kind of sauna is the infrared sauna, and that uses a natural wavelength of sunlight. And so the sunlight, or the infrared spectrum, it doesn't heat the ambient air up. It actually goes right through the ambient air, and it goes right through the insulating layer of fat underneath your skin, because it's resonating at the same frequency as the water inside your body and the water inside that fat. So it comes right through that protection layer. It goes right into the most dense parts of our bodies, which is our organ tissues or our muscle mass. Mm-hmm. And those areas are also the most vascular parts of our bodies. And so now this sunlight comes into us, it starts vibrating. That vibration liberates energy and heat. That heat warms up those vessels. The vessels, when they get warmed up, they start to expand. That's called vasodilation. And so when they expand, more blood flow can pass around your body, and your metabolism raises up maybe 15 to almost 20%. That means more blood is passing around your body at a 20% greater rate. So some of the ways that it helps you. You can imagine if your metabolic rate's going up, you're burning calories. So you're not working out, but yet you're burning calories. So you can sit in our sauna for 45 minutes and burn 500 to 600 calories, Ron.
So
So
with
there's a
everything speeding up, it accelerates the detoxification process as well. So it's moving everything through faster. The filtering system is sped up as well. Correct? Am I understanding correctly?
Well, in a sense.
Okay.
But the first thing is we are moving more blood around.
Okay.
Blood carries all of your DNA, your RNA, that's your repair and the essence or the operating systems of your cell. It also carries all your nutrients, and it carries oxygen. So these are super important things in just health and wellness. If I can get more oxygen, the reason why we age is because of oxidative stress. As we get older, our body's ability to retain oxygen in our blood starts to diminish. So just by being in that sauna, you're already rejuvenating and kind of dialing back. It's like a little fountain of youth in a way, right?
Yes.
Okay. Remember, we're talking about the sauna, but really what we're talking about is what comes from nature. I've just harnessed a part of that and made it easier for people to get it into your household. It's affordable, it's portable, and you can do it at your own schedule time as opposed to working around the natural schedule that's going on outside. Okay? So then how does it help your immune system and help you detox? That same vibration breaks the covalent bond. So toxins, when they come into the body, they only come in a few ways, okay? So the skin is one of them. When we shower, the water's got fluoride or it's got chlorine or it's got chemicals in it, and that shower water goes through our skin and goes right into our blood. When we're breathing in air that's got glyphosate or the water's got glyphosate in it, and that chemical is coming into us and it's changing our body chemistry, right? So basically breathing and eating are the two biggest ways, or drinking are the biggest ways to get things in, and our skin, our largest organ. Okay, so now we got this stuff inside of us, we got this junk inside of us, right? And then we've got filtering organs like our liver, our kidneys, our pancreas, our large intestine. These are designed to basically get toxins out, but guess what? They're working overtime because our world is really toxic, okay? And if you're living in an urban kind of environment, a big city, it's even more toxic. And then so that's a stress. Now all of these organs designed to keep us healthy and live long and strong are now basically working overtime, and they start to, like any part, they start to wear out. They don't work as efficiently, okay? So as they start to slow down, we start to get more toxic. As we start to get more toxic, that's another stress. Now we're allowing our bodies to break down so that our immune systems are suppressed, our genetic proclivities, that means our tendencies, start to come out, okay? And so that kind of creates that whole negative thing. So reversing it, getting back to nature, bringing sunlight in, and repairing this detox mechanism is a really big part of what I believe is the primal foundation to actually long life and good health, or being healthy for a long life.
It's huge. It's huge. And I know you've been on a mission. And I know you and your wife, Melody, before the shutdown, before the quarantine, traveled quite a bit. And I hope people are benefiting from this talk, because even though we've talked about it in the past, you just took me to a whole nother level, because I don't want to make this sound like an infomercial. I really wanted to get you on so that people can really benefit from the health, benefit their health from your product. It just seems so obvious. You know what I mean? It just seems so obvious. It seems like, people want to get healthy, so they'll start to exercise and they'll take vitamins and they'll take antioxidants and they'll take all these things, but they're not really addressing the underlying cause that's creating the effect. And it seems like what you have, and now I understand why you've been on such a mission, why you've traveled so often, go to so many conferences, because it's just obvious it has a tremendous impact, because at a cellular level, that's what we're duplicating. We're constantly duplicating cells. And if a cell is damaged and we duplicate a damaged cell, then that's the foundation and basis point in which we are in which we're growing or aging, right? So if we can reverse that process with new cells, then we're prolonging our life, we're prolonging our health, and it just seems so obvious, Robbie. You know what I mean?
I mentioned earlier I was on with Mr. Universe, one of the top bodybuilders in the world. And it's an interesting category for me, optimal health, because I go for optimal health, but basically I grew up in the infectious disease category, working with patients and doctors that treat people that have chronic ailments like cancer and Lyme disease and autoimmune diseases and chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. And if you look at some of those trends, they're off the chart. They're steep. And the sad thing, Ron, is that it's really bad that the trends are so steep and so, still going up. But the ages of the people that are getting sick are coming down. That's bad. One of my dear friends, Zach Bush, who exposed the glyphosate challenge that Monsanto created on the globe, talks about that we're in the middle of, towards the end, and maybe in the next 20 years, we're on an extinction trajectory. The sixth extinction in the world of history of the planet. The thing that's different about this one is that this is the only one that's been man-made by our whole toxic environment. And so we can do things to make a change now, a real change. But it is what you said earlier, getting back to basics. We are so caught up in making money and surviving and all the things that we need to get through the day in our busy lifestyles, right? That we kind of forget all of the primal things that, that are so important, like a fresh meal, a fresh organic meal, or good, healthy, clean water, or clean air, sunlight. We're making it easy with our devices. And frankly, I'm not here to sell a single thing. I am here to tell you about the power of healing with natural sunlight. Now, I live in South Florida, and when you watch TV, they say, you don't go out in that sun without you slapping on some suntan oil, which has all kinds of carcinogenic chemicals in it to start with. So they're just creating a bigger problem. But actually, it's these very sunlight, these very sun rays that heal the body. I mean, think about it. If you dial it back, Ron, to when Moses, Jesus, and Buddha lived, okay? We were living in tents. We were living in caves. We spent the whole day out basically hunting, right? So we got overexposed to UV light. Those are the tanning and nurturing frequencies. But we got healed by the infrared spectrum. So we were in the sun all day. There are imbalances. So if you get too much of one, you need the other in order for it to be balanced. And that's what our ancestors experienced. What's happening now is we're getting no sunlight. We're not touching the earth anymore, so we don't have that earth charge. I mean, I know you and Anesthesia are, like you're natural people too. And I know that you lived overseas for a while. And so I know about kicking off your shoes and hugging a palm tree or walking on the earth and actually getting that earth charge to balance your body charge out. But many of the viewers out there don't understand how something as simple as that could make all the difference in just how you sleep, your energy, like just how your body works on the inside, having that proper earth charge or connection to the planet and to nature. So again, back to the silver lining, I'm not happy we're here, but I am happy that we're talking about this, because with this social isolation, it's not a comfortable place for most of us. Most of us are busy with our gaming or with our texting or with our, businesses and running to work and commuting back home, and we hardly have a chance to smell the roses. And now we're kind of shuttled into this place where we're in either by ourselves or in our close, tight, knit family unit again. Many of my friends, their kids that were in college, the schools are shut down, the kids are back home. Nobody's used to living with each other anymore because they're so accustomed to all these other things going on. Again, back to the silver lining, this is a hard reset. This is an opportunity for us to take a look at what we were and take all the good things of what we were and hold on to those, and then get rid of all these other things that were sort of what I call noise. Get rid of the noise, and that gets you much closer to your truer self, to your heart, to your essence. And I think that is going to be something coming out of the other end of this corona tunnel. If we could hold on to some of that, I think all of us, humanity, the US, your town, the family units, will all be in a much better place.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. And here's the thing. I wrote about this recently as well, and that is, we are in a masterclass right now. We are in a masterclass. You take anybody that is in the process of mastery, and it's all an internal process. So people are being forced internally right now. And so what I tell people is, if you're being triggered by anything that's going on in the world right now, it already existed inside. It was just you were too busy with diversions that were keeping you preoccupied. So now we're being forced to internalize. We're being forced to take 100% responsibility for our internal reality, and then make all the necessary adjustments to bring ourselves into peace and harmony. So, let me see if I can articulate this correctly regarding nature. We are energetic. Our soul, by virtue of being a soul, we are a multidimensional energetic being. We have a symbiotic relationship with this earth biosphere. The same intelligence that divides our cell blossoms the flower. There is no difference. We are completely interconnected. And when you say we're on a path to extinction, it's because we worship outside ourselves. We tried to read ancient texts and even go to temples to get something that exists within and all around us, yet we destroy our earth thinking we're not destroying ourselves. We are one and the same. And hopefully, to add to your silver lining, that's what's happening right now, is because we are being internalized. I go out to a park that's close by to exercise as much as I can during the week, and then I lay on the grass. And you talk about the energetic charge. You talk about feeling grounded and just becoming to start to feel whole, getting away from the technology. That is the silver lining here. And so I just wanted to put my 2 cents into the silver lining, because
I love that. You got it.
We're not different. We have to start embracing all of this. And really, at the end of the day, it starts with each one of us, because each one of us are a cell within this biosphere. And how we take care of this cell, being completely interconnected, we create the health of the biosphere we call planet Earth. And your technology is addressing that at a foundational level. So I just want to, first of all, just thank you for that. And what's your mission, Robby? At the end of the day, when your life is done and you look back and they talk about you, what do you want them to say?
Wow. Before I go there, I just want to finish one little thing that I remembered that I forgot to tell the viewers. Because of this whole building your immune system thing and helping our bodies heal naturally, one of the beauties of infrared, one of the things it does is, well, in particular the sauna, it raises your core temperature up, creating what's called a false fever. And one of the frontline defenses that our natural body has against an invader like a coronavirus or a bacteria or a mold or a parasite is when the body senses, when the brain senses the invader, it turns off the thermostat, you raise your core, you get a fever, and around at 101 to 101.5 degrees Fahrenheit core temperature, most viruses and bacteria naturally die off. And so when you sit in that sauna, you're creating a false fever. You're raising your core inside. And if you in it long enough, which is half hour, 45 minutes, you can start knocking this virus out naturally just by that alone. The second thing is, when we mentioned earlier about improving circulation, that's moving more oxygen around. Well, most of these viruses and bacteria are anaerobic. That means that they thrive on very little oxygen. And so when you start oxygenating your blood, it's another thing that stresses them out. So it builds your natural immune system and it stresses out the virus. That's a good thing. But the last thing, and this is a little technical, there's a mechanism that's called a heat shock protein. The acronym is HSP. And our infrared sauna, it generates an HSP-70. And they're kind of like URLs or license plates. They're very specific. They're a targeting mechanism that our bodies use to tell our immune system who the foreign invader is and then go after them, okay? So the heat shock protein 70 is very interesting because it targets the coronavirus and it knocks out their replicating system. Now that's super important because the virus is kind of almost a perfect organism. It comes in and it's inert until it finds a living cell. The living cell, in this case, because corona likes to attack the bronchial or the lungs, like the breathing cells, it attaches to the cell. It sucks out the DNA and RNA, which is like the operating system of our live cell. It grabs that, and now it becomes the virus's operating system. And all the virus knows how to do is replicate. So it uses the cell resource, the living cell dies, the virus thrives, the part of one virus cell dies, but it may have made 100,000 virus cells in the process, and that's how a virus takes over. Now, if you get heat shock protein 70 going, it knocks out the virus's replicating system. And so now we took away all their power, all of its power, just there alone. So I thought this was an interesting thing for the viewers to know. Again, the power of sunlight. And so you all can do this. You don't need our sauna to do it. There are other sauna factories out there and infrared factories out there. Some are better than others. We consider ourselves one of the top, if not the top, but we're certainly available, and through you and the viewership and our relationship, if they need to know more, then certainly they can contact you or contact us directly, and from you, they'll know how.
Awesome.
Now let's talk about the mission. A few years ago, we lost somebody very dear to us. And when she passed away, there was one big lesson that I learned, basically how fragile life is. Because we take so much for granted, and you did hit on this a little earlier. We wake up every day and we think that we put that breath in our lungs and in our mouth. We think that we did that, but in fact, it's a gift that's given to us every day, and we sort of take it for granted. We just assume that tomorrow we're going to be getting up like we got up today. But what happens when someone that's dear to you doesn't wake up tomorrow for whatever reason? And so what that lesson taught me was how precious time is, how fragile life is. And I am an inventor. I'm a pioneer in my little area. And I keep on my desk a little hourglass, Ron. And for the viewers out there, I'm sure if you know what that looks like, you have a hourglass, you turn it over, there's a bunch of sand on the top, and the sand moves down to the bottom, and some of them go for a half hour, some of them for an hour, whatever. And as good as I am, and I keep trying to figure out how to do this, I can't figure out how to get that grain of sand that just went to the bottom part of the glass back up to the top, okay? I can't get that time back. So what I'm saying is that me spending time with you today is really important to me. I'm honored to be here, mostly just to impart some of the things that I'm saying to all the viewers, and hoping they'll get one or two things that might instill some inspiration of some kind to have change their life a little bit for the better, right?
Yes.
And so who I'm with, how I spend my time is super important to me. And so part of my mission, at least from now moving forward, is to continue my pursuit to my body of work isn't mine. I am just a vessel. I am getting information from my ancestors that lived before me. They're giving me direction. We put all of that love and tender sweat equity into everything that we do. And as I said earlier, it's not just good enough to make a good device. We deliver an experience. And so knowing how to use it, knowing how to optimize your life, knowing how important time is, because we have one go around in Earth Camp. That's what I call it now. How do we find our bliss? How do we find our purpose? How do we live out our dreams and live a fulfilled life? One that you're healthy and well throughout. And part of it is, in my view, to develop the technology that I've done to try to get people to understand that it's affordable, that it's something that you can do every day. You can make a lifestyle choice, and you can do it right now. Not tomorrow, not after New Year's when you make a resolution because you put on a couple of pounds, so you're going to take a couple of pounds off. You can do it right now. You can make a change right now and have it be part of your life, so that moving forward, everything that you do is now around health, wellness, empowerment, enriching yourselves and giving that message, passing that message on to your kids so that they can live a healthier life. And so that, in a nutshell, is kind of my mission these days.
I love it. I love it. Well, Robby, I think, is that the final thing you'd like to leave everybody with? Because it kind of sounded like, I don't know if you can top that.
I'm in a good place right now. So you tell me what things you need to know.
Yeah. So I think we're going to leave it at that. Man, I hope a lot of people watch this because they can really benefit. Seriously, they can really take control of their health. And any final parting words you just like to leave?
Well, visit my website. It's www.therasage.com, or we have a healthy hotline. You can call in and organize, to get like 15 or 20 minutes of consulting time. We usually give that away for free. So for people that are in need, first come, first serve, and you can get to our hotline by dialing our toll-free number, which is 888-416-4441. Yep. And I'm blessed to be here. I'm glad that you invited me to be on. I'm hoping this is just the beginning of more trainings, episodes, time together to share each other's experiences and to advance our own, well-being, and to help our neighbors and to grow old and prosper.
Awesome, Robby. Awesome. Well, listen, I want to thank Robby Besner, CEO of Therasage. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom today, Robby. This has been the Journey to Awakening podcast. I'm your host, Ron Ario, and we'll see you on the other side.